Thanks for having me. Thank you, Heavy Bit. Today I'm going to talk about how you can apply various content strategies and tactics to your business and not only build a content engine, but measure your content engine and use multi-touch attribution to ensure that you're investing in the right areas of content for your business. So hopefully, the DigitalOcean framework can be applied to your business, and so we've built a very engaging community around our brand and around our product. For those of you that don't know DigitalOcean is the cloud for developers. We're simplifying infrastructure for the developer community. Our goal is to always add value to the developer community in everything that we do, including content. And to date, since we've launched DigitalOcean, we've been able to publish 1,400 tutorials, and these tutorials cover setup instructions for various server configurations. So, for example, how to install Ruby on Rails on your Linux distribution, or how to set up Django or PHP. So we have 1,400 tutorials on our website that produce roughly 6 million monthly website visits. And through our multi-attribution tracking, we're able to correlate back those visits, and approximately 69% of DigitalOcean customers read a tutorial before they sign up. So, before we started building a content engine, we had various hypotheses, right? Like we knew that it would drive the top of the funnel, it would drive SEO, it would drive traffic, but most importantly, we had a hypothesis that this would add tremendous value to the developer community, and this would ultimately be a painkiller for them, because there was no easy go-to online resource for server sysadmin tutorials, and so we decided to build that knowledge base, that resource center for developers. And so most people don't know this, but our first employee was a writer. Her name's Atel Sverdlov. A little bit of her background: she was an English major. She was a strong writer and editor. In fact, she edited some academic books. She had no Linux experience at the time, but most importantly, she was really passionate. She was super passionate about technology, and that was really important because she invested a tremendous amount of time learning about the Linux command line. So we gave her this book, The Linux Command Line, when she started, and she was immediately tasked with writing the first 100 or so tutorials for DigitalOcean. So what are the requirements for building a content engine for your business, right? And it all starts with quality. You hear this a lot: quality over quantity. And then number two, you want to ensure that you're measuring your content engine, your content effort, and you're investing in the right areas. And then number three, you're hiring the right team that aligns with your content strategy. And then four, you really want to leverage your community to create a content engine. So real quick, quality over quantity, and we've seen from our numbers, where DigitalOcean is a living and breathing example of a content engine that has scaled to now 6 million website visits, and we're generating more traffic than some of the most popular online publications today. And we only have published 1,400 tutorials, which is small in comparison to some of the world's most popular publications. And so, since day one, we've always simplified the setup guide and instructions on how to configure servers. And so taking that approach has been able to generate more revenue and more traffic for our business. And now when developers when developers have a server problem, they'll type in Google DigitalOcean space their problem and land on DigitalOcean.com. And we see this quite often. So our first writer, Tel, was focused on writing basic system administration tutorials that generated a high volume of traffic. So, we started with very popular open source frameworks, LAMP, Rails, and then quickly expanded after that into more advanced frameworks and open source solutions. And then we also use Google's keyword tool to evaluate topics for search volume, and that helped guide our content strategy in the beginning. And again, Attel was responsible for delivering over 100 tutorials. And as you're building out your content engine, one thing that's important to remember is to make sure that your site is optimized for search. And so making sure that your URL strings are optimized, your H1, you have H1 tags, H2 tags, you have internal linking throughout your site, social share call to actions, you have a email capture on the bottom. So just making sure that your landing pages and your site pages are always optimized for SEO. It's easy to forget, right? Like as you're building out your website and your business, your blog or your article site, it's always important to remember to optimize your site for search. And then we had a tight, rigorous process for ensuring that each tutorial that we produced met a high level of quality, and so each tutorial took about 3 to 5 days to produce from start to finish, and we had our support team, who were all sysadmins, test and evaluate the tutorials to ensure that they actually worked before we even published them online. You want to, again, as you build your content engine, you want to ensure that you're measuring the effort, and it usually takes about 4 to 7 pieces of content on average before you're able to convert a customer, right? So it's important that you're measuring all the touch points in the life cycle. So this was our previous attribution model. We only used a first click and last click attribution model. Again, the problem with this model is that we were missing all the middle sessions, all the middle touch points that eventually led to the user converting on DigitalOcean. So we didn't know what pieces of content played a role in the customer's lifecycle journey. So we've evaluated a bunch of third-party attribution tools such as Convertro and others, and ultimately it would have cost us tens of thousands of dollars to implement these third-party tools. So we said, screw it, let's just build it ourselves, like we do most things at DigitalOcean. So we built our own custom time decay attribution model, and the reason why it's custom is because we attribute more weight to the first session because the first piece of content or the first channel, the first program that creates that first click should receive more credit, and then each session over time becomes more valuable as the user eventually converts. And so this model works really well, especially if you're building a tremendous amount of content on your platform, because you want to, again, correlate back revenue and conversions to your content. And so here's a snapshot of our formula that we used to calculate the time decay attribution model. And there's other types of attribution models that you can use. There's linear, there's position-based. And so we use time decay because we felt like it best guides our content strategy. So other models might work better for your business, but for DigitalOcean and for what we're producing in terms of content, this works really well to guide our investment. And so in this equation, the common denominator here is the number of sessions before the conversion. And so again, the sessions close to the conversion get relatively more credit. So if you can see the small little charts on the bottom right, a user with sessions on January 1st and January 2nd, and then January 29th and January 30th will have a distribution that looks like the green model. So the sessions leading up to the final conversion session get the most weight. They receive the most credit. And here's what our attribution stack looks like on the back end. So when a user comes to our website, they get tagged with an anonymous ID. That anonymous ID gets fed into our database, and then eventually when they convert, they get tagged with the customer ID. And then that gets fed into our database, and our database is connected to Segment, so we use Segment to begin to organize all the data. And then the data is then correlated to our user data, and we use MySQL on the back end for our database. And then all that data gets fed into Looker to visualize it. And so then we're able to build out our channel attribution charts and graphs for our marketing community team. And so through this attribution model, we're now able to associate conversions back to specific topics as well as revenue contributions. So comparing NGINX and Apache, we can see that NGINX generates a slightly higher conversions as well as revenue. All right, so you built out your attribution tracking. Now it's time to hire the right team that will help complement your content efforts. And so our first writer, Atel, eventually began to build out the first in-house technical writing team. A lot of these folks were sourced on Craigslist, funny enough, and as well as the community. And their goal was to aim for 3 to 5 articles per week from start to finish. Here's a snapshot of our traffic as it began to scale early on. Early on, we were able to correlate back our content efforts to, again, the revenue contribution. And within a 30-month window, we saw that we were able to generate 1,400 new customers and a $12,000 MRR from all the tutorials that we published in that month. And so if you map that out across 12 months, you're talking about 100K ARR for this 1 month. And so from this analysis and from measuring the conversion rates and your revenue contribution, we saw that there was a huge opportunity to invest more resources in building out this internal team. And then eventually we hired an editorial manager, Sharon Campbell, who came on to help us curate content from our community. We went from not a content production team to a content engine when we leveraged our community. And what that means is we were able to tap into the open source community and offer an incentive. So we offered our community a $200 incentive for them to submit tutorials to DigitalOcean. So we launched this Get Paid to Write program, and it's a very scalable content model. So now we have an in-house team of editors that review tutorial submissions from various authors that specialize in open source topics. And so this content, all of the inbound content that comes in through our community contributes 40% of our overall content on our website. And so our editorial team has a very rigorous review process, again, to ensure that we maintain our high level of quality and high level of editorial standards. And so, we've built relationships with key influencers in the open source space, and we found that working with the same authors to produce content on a regular basis has been our best approach. And it's not always about finding new authors to write about different open source topics, but working with the same ones to build a cadence. That's been a tremendous driver of our revenue growth for DigitalOcean. And just to expand a little bit further, we've launched a Q&A section on our website to enable user-generated content to exist. And this Q&A site is very similar to what Stack Overflow offers, where there's upvoting. We have moderation tools and functionality to ensure that the right questions are being asked. We have a community management team that's responsible for building one-to-one relationships with folks in the community that are asking questions on our site. And so the activity on our Q&A section is driving traffic as well as revenue. And again, through our attribution tracking, we're able to correlate it back. So again, just to touch upon the requirements for building a content engine from the ground up, you want to ensure that you're focused on delivering good quality content. You want to make sure that you have good mechanisms in place to ensure that you're delivering that quality. You want to measure your touch points to help guide your future investments, to help guide your team strategy. And then you want to hire a team. You want to build a team to work on the things that are already working and scale out your efforts. And then finally, you want to leverage your community, tap into your community to help you produce content so that you're able to build a content engine for your business. And if you do all those things well, not only are you able to add value to your user base and your community, but you're also able to generate ROI for your business. And today, 20% of our revenue comes from our content. And that's it. Thank you so much.